Have you ever noticed how, after a certain age, people start talking to you like you're made of glass? Like you're supposed to slow down, sit quietly, and let the world go on without you? They mean well, of course, but sometimes it feels like they expect us to retire not just from work, but from life itself. And maybe you've even caught yourself thinking, I'm not as sharp as I used to be, or maybe it's just age. But here's something I want you to hear loud and clear. Your mind is still alive, still powerful, and still capable of growth, curiosity, and brilliance. Age doesn't mean shutting down. It means shifting gears. It means you finally get to choose how you want to think, learn, and grow, without the pressure of deadlines, or bosses, or raising kids. This is your time. Now, sure, maybe you've noticed your memory isn't quite as quick. You walk into a room and forget why you went in. You lose your train of thought mid-sentence. You struggle to remember someone's name, even though you can picture their face perfectly. But that doesn't mean your brain is fading. It means it's asking for something new. Just like a muscle, your mind needs movement. It needs to be challenged, stretched, and used. But not in a hard, stressful way, in a way that feels joyful, meaningful, and just a little bit adventurous. That's why we're talking today about how to stay intellectually alive after 65. Because retiring your job doesn't mean you retire your curiosity. It doesn't mean you stop engaging. It just means you finally get to do it your way. And what does that look like? Well, let's start with one of the most underrated, yet powerful ways to keep your brain strong, learning something new. Not because you have to, but because you want to. And it doesn't have to be anything dramatic. You don't need to enroll in a university or master astrophysics. It can be something as simple as picking up a hobby you never had time for before. Learning to cook a new dish. Trying your hand at sketching, even if you haven't drawn since school. Or starting to read about a subject you've always found interesting but never had time to explore. One man I know, Bob, 68 years old, decided to learn the harmonica. Just because he liked the sound. He watched a few online videos, practiced a little each day, and within months, he was playing songs for his grandkids. And the most surprising part? He told me he felt sharper, more focused, and even more upbeat during the day. That little bit of mental engagement lit up his mind and his heart. Because the act of learning, even something small, tells your brain, we're still growing. We're still in the game. And the brain responds by forming new pathways, strengthening memory, and even lifting your mood. Now let's talk about another habit that keeps the mind alive, and it's one that often gets overlooked. That's reading with intention. Not scrolling through headlines or skimming the news. But really sitting down with a book, or even a long article, and letting yourself dive in. Letting the words paint pictures in your mind, letting the ideas move around and take shape. You might choose fiction, something to transport you to another place or time. Or maybe nonfiction, a memoir, a history book, or something spiritual. Whatever it is, the act of reading deeply trains your attention span, expands your vocabulary, and gives your brain a steady rhythm of thought and language. And it's not just about consuming information, it's about how it makes you feel. I know a woman named Marie, 70, who reads one novel a month. She told me, when I read, I forget about the aches and the weather and all the little worries. It's like my brain gets to stretch out and breathe. Isn't that what we all need? You don't have to read for hours. Even 10 or 15 minutes a day can make a difference. The key is to make it intentional. Find a time when you can sit quietly, even with a cup of tea, and let the words carry you somewhere else. Now, maybe reading and learning come naturally to you. Or maybe they feel a little distant right now. That's okay. The goal here isn't perfection. It's progress. It's choosing just one small thing each day that makes your mind feel awake, alive, and present. Because here's what happens when you stop using your brain in meaningful ways, it starts to drift. Not because it's broken, but because it's bored. And boredom leads to forgetfulness, fogginess, even sadness. But when you begin to feed your mind again, with curiosity, with stories, with questions, something lights up inside you. And suddenly, you're not just remembering things better, you're feeling better, too. And the best part? You don't have to wait. You can start today. Right now. Just by saying, I'm not done growing. If you're still watching and feel that these insights are meaningful, please type number 2 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I warmly invite you to do so, and don't forget to turn on the bell, so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos designed to uplift, inform, and inspire. Your support truly means a lot. It's what keeps us going and allows us to continue sharing thoughtful, helpful content just for you. Now, let's continue this journey together. When you tell yourself, I'm not done growing, something shifts, even just a little. It's like turning on a light in a room you didn't realize had gone dim. And what's beautiful about this phase of life is that now, more than ever, you get to choose what that growth looks like. No rules. No grades. Just genuine curiosity. We've talked about learning something new and reading with intention. But let's keep going, because there are more ways to stretch and feed your mind that don't feel like homework, they feel like life. One of the most underrated yet powerful tools? Conversation. Not just chatting about the weather or exchanging pleasantries, but real, engaging conversation. The kind that makes you lean in a little. The kind where you ask questions, share stories, reflect out loud. That kind of dialogue is like oxygen for your brain. Because when you're truly engaged in conversation, especially with people of different ages, experiences, or perspectives, your brain lights up. You're pulling memories, interpreting tone, choosing words, adjusting your thoughts. All of that keeps your mind agile and alert. You might not think of a coffee chat with a neighbor or a phone call with an old friend as intellectual exercise, but trust me, your brain knows. And it responds. There's a man named David I spoke with, 74 years old, who started a weekly discussion walk with 2 of his neighbors. They walk for 30 minutes every Thursday morning and pick a topic to explore. Sometimes it's books, sometimes current events, sometimes just life reflections. He said, it's like therapy for the brain and the soul. And honestly, I couldn't say it better. What's great about this is you don't need anything fancy to start. No special group, no formal plan. Just a willingness to connect, to listen as much as you share. And that brings us to something else just as vital, writing. Not for anyone else. Just for you. It could be a journal. A notebook where you jot down your thoughts, your memories, your questions. It could be letters to loved ones, even if you don't send them. Or maybe you're finally ready to start that memoir you've been carrying in your heart for years. You don't need to be a writer to write. You just need a pen, a quiet moment, and a little bit of honesty. Because when you write, even a few lines a day, you're giving your mind a task that blends language, emotion, and memory. You're stretching your ability to reflect, to express, and to organize your thoughts. That's powerful work, whether or not anyone else ever reads it. And there's something else writing does that people don't talk about enough. It helps you notice things. The more you write, the more you begin to observe, the way the light hits the window, the way someone said something that stayed with you, the way your thoughts feel different in the morning than they do at night. That awareness is the sign of a brain that's still very much alive. Mary, 69, started journaling after breakfast every day. At first, it was just about her plans or a note on the weather. But over time, her entries got deeper, little reflections, memories, questions. She told me, it's like I'm rediscovering parts of myself I forgot were there. And isn't that what staying intellectually active is really about? Not just keeping up with facts or puzzles, but reconnecting with the most thoughtful, alive parts of who you are. Let's not forget the joy of creative play. That might sound like something for children, but don't be fooled. Your brain loves creativity at every age. In fact, it needs it. You don't have to be a painter or musician to be creative. You could garden in a new way. Rearrange your room. Try cooking a dish from a culture you've never explored. Even telling a story to your grandchildren with a bit of extra flair and imagination, that's creative play. That's giving your brain something fresh to engage with. Every time you engage your imagination, you are building new connections in the brain. You're encouraging flexibility, problem solving, and emotional resilience. And let's be honest, you're also probably smiling a little more, and that matters too. Staying intellectually active doesn't have to be serious. It just has to be genuine. If it brings you joy and makes you think or feel something new, you're on the right track. So let's pause and reflect for a moment. When was the last time you did something just because you were curious? Just because it made your brain feel a little spark? That spark, that's what we're after. Not because you have to prove anything, but because you deserve to feel awake, present, and capable. Every single day. And you are. You absolutely are. When we talk about keeping the mind active after 65, we're not just talking about memory games or trying to stay sharp for the sake of it. We're talking about something much bigger, much deeper, staying mentally engaged so you can stay fully present in your own life. So you can keep feeling connected, curious, and capable of creating meaning every single day. Because here's the truth, your brain isn't on its way out. It's still in there, full of potential. And the more you show up for it, the more it shows up for you. We've talked about learning something new, reading with intention, engaging in real conversations, writing with purpose, and opening up to creative play. These aren't chores or to-do items, they're invitations. Invitations to rediscover what lights you up. But there's one more piece I don't want you to miss, and it's this: share what you know. Yes, you. You've lived decades. You've learned through experience, through mistakes, through joy, through heartbreak. And there is real power in your story, your insight, your perspective. When you share it, whether through mentoring, volunteering, talking to younger family members, or simply showing up as your full self in conversations, you give your brain purpose, direction, a sense of continued contribution. Purpose is fuel. And nothing keeps the mind alive like knowing that what you think, what you say, what you do, still matters. Because it absolutely does. A woman I once met, Eleanor, 76, volunteers twice a week at a local elementary school. Not to teach, but to listen. The kids call her Grandma E. They tell her about their drawings, their weekend adventures, their fears. She just listens, smiles, and sometimes shares a little story of her own. She says it makes her feel younger, sharper, more alive. That's not coincidence. That's connection. And connection is one of the most powerful mental vitamins we've got. You don't have to change the world. But offering a kind word, sharing a lesson you learned the hard way, or helping someone solve a problem, even a small one, these acts light up your brain in ways no puzzle ever could. They remind you that you're not just watching the world go by, you're still a part of it. And let me be clear, staying mentally active doesn't mean never slowing down. Rest matters. Quiet matters. But what you want to avoid is going numb, letting the days blur together, letting curiosity fade, letting your inner spark dim. And if it has dimmed, that's okay too. Because sparks can always be reignited. Even just watching this video, that's a start. You cared enough to listen. That's you saying, I'm still here. I still want to grow. And that's something worth celebrating. So maybe tomorrow, you pull a book off the shelf that's been waiting for you. Or you call a friend and ask a question that goes deeper than how are you. Maybe you sit with a notebook and write down a memory. Maybe you try cooking something new or draw something just for fun. Whatever it is, make it yours. Make it something that matters to you, even in a small way. And then do it again the next day. Not because you're trying to stay young, but because you're honoring the person you are now. You've earned the right to enjoy your mind, to challenge it gently, to stretch it playfully, and to keep feeding it with life. Every time you do, you are investing in your future, not just in the years ahead, but in the moments ahead. Moments of joy. Moments of clarity. Moments where you surprise yourself with how much you still know, still feel, still care. So if this conversation has sparked something in you, tell me, what's one small way you're going to stretch your mind today? Leave a comment below, even a single word, and let's support each other in this journey of staying mentally and emotionally alive. If this message resonated with you, give it a like so more people can find it. And if you'd like more conversations like this, warm, uplifting, and truly helpful, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're building a space where age isn't about fading, it's about flourishing. Here's to your brilliant, curious, capable mind. Here's to growing, not out, but in. Here's to you. Still learning. Still leading. Still full of life. You haven't retired your mind. You've just given it room to fly. Stay curious. Stay kind. And as always, stay you.